What's up, everybody? So, Civic is sold. I just sold it about 2 weeks ago. I've had a lot of people curious and asking me about, how much I paid for it and what I sold it for and stuff. So, I promised you guys I would give you a breakdown video of the price of the Civic. So I kind of went the next step, and I also included all of the pricing for the Ranger too, but that'll be after the Civic. So, let's just get right into it. So, the website that I use to buy all my cars from is called Copart. If you guys watch a lot of YouTubers, a lot of automotive YouTubers, you'll see that some of them use this site quite a lot. It's a great site to use. They have tons of cars to choose from. They have locations all over the nation. We happen to have two here in Utah. So, for instance, there's one in Salt Lake and there's one in Ogden. I got the Ranger from Salt Lake and I got the Civic from Ogden. So, thankfully, I have those two options to choose from. So, like I said, I got the Civic from Ogden. So, Ogden is almost 2.5 hours away from here. So, I didn't want to go pick it up because, one, I didn't have a truck, and two, that's really far. So, here we go. Get started. I bought the Civic. I won the auction on Copart at $500. So, that was my final bid at $500, and I won. And then, so, with all the fees that Copart has, if you're not a registered dealer, they have a little more fees that you have to pay. Which sucks, but, it's the law. It's how things work. So, with fees and shipping, I also had the car shipped to my apartment. You guys saw that in the first video. So, with fees and shipping, that came to $995. So that includes the final bid and the fees and shipping. So just shy of $1,000 just to get the car to me. So then, before I even bought the car, I actually got a Carfax report for it. So that was $40. You guys can say whatever you want about Carfax. I like them. They give you the full report. I know there's more shady ways of getting it, but I've always trusted Carfax, so I went with that. Once it got here, we found out it didn't start, and so we tried to start it, and it started for a minute, and then it died. So I immediately went to Walmart and got a battery, which came to $129, which is crazy because they used to be like $70 when I had my old Civic. Anyways, so once we figured that out, then I decided to take it down to Kurt's house, my brother-in-law. So then I had to go and rent a dolly, a car dolly, and that came to $50. And fuel to get down there was another $15. So once we got it down there, I inspected it and we saw what needed to be done, what needed to be fixed, which honestly wasn't much. This car was in pretty good shape when I got it, besides, cosmetic things, but, whatever. So, really, all the rest of these costs from here on out are just maintenance items that we chose to replace or fix. So we'll start out with the oil and the filter. That came to $28 because these little 1.6 liter engines don't take very much. I think it was like, what? I can't remember. I'll put up on the screen what the oil capacity is for the Civic, but it's not much at all. Then we got some coolant and an air filter, which the coolant was $7 and the air filter was $10. Spark plugs came to $25. Gasket set for the valve covers and those little spark plug gaskets was $20. And then I also had the car insured for the time that I was selling it. So that came to $20 because I only had it insured for like a week and a half before I sold it. So that brings us to the final cost of the Civic. So all of that together comes to a total of $1,339. Which really, that's not bad if you're trying to buy a Civic for yourself, or any car for that matter, just to drive around, gets good gas mileage. $1,300 is not bad. Like, I bought my last Civic this exact same year and everything for $1,100, and it had 200,000 miles on it. So $1,300 for a Civic with 160,000 miles on it, that's a steal. That's really good. Anyways, so I sold the car about a week ago, and I ended up selling the car. So I listed it for $2,500. I knew I wasn't going to get that, but I was expecting people to lowball me and talk me down, which they did. I had a rough estimate of what I was going to get for it, and I kind of set a goal. I said I will not sell this car for less than $2,000. So, effectively, that's what I got. I got $2,000 for the Civic. So that comes to a grand total and profit of $661. You know, I only worked on that car for about 2.5 months. It was really just every other, or not every other, but it was pretty much, no, it was about every other weekend because, you know, life happens. You do stuff on Saturdays. I work every day except for Saturdays and Sundays. So it was mostly just working on the weekends. So, worked on it for about 2.5 months. So, you know, $666 for 2.5 months of just like maybe, I don't know, maybe like 20, 25 hours of work. That's really not bad. And it was fun. And every time I do this, I learn something new. So, that is the grand total profit for the Civic. $661 in my pocket. Realistically, you know, I got $2,000, so that's $2,000 in my pocket, but profit is $661. So, I decided to gather up all the information about the Ranger just to give you guys some kind of point of reference of, you know, what I earned with that, how it compares to the Civic. So, let's get right into that too. So, excuse me, the Ranger, I won the bid at $900. I'm surprised I did because on the site it said it had 24,000 original miles. That I was blown away, honestly. I thought that wasn't possible, and you know, it wasn't possible. The car actually had 124,000 miles on it, but Copart listed, so this isn't actually their fault. But they listed that the truck had it had 24,000 miles, but it was exempt, you know. So on the title, it was exempt from a correct odometer reading, which, you know, it's fine. But, so I won the auction at $900. Fees and everything, you know, they kind of stack up once you win bids at a higher amount, which, you know, makes sense. So, fees and everything came to $1,400. Since this one was in Salt Lake, I decided I'd go get it. It's really not that far from Ogden, but you boys real lazy and cheap, so I didn't want to drive up to Ogden, but I'd drive up to Salt Lake. Yeah, I don't understand that logic either. Anyways, so I rented a full-length trailer to haul down the Ranger because I didn't really want to get a car dolly. So I ended up renting a trailer for $50. No! Anyways, I rented a trailer for $50. I took my brother's truck up there, which is a diesel, so I spent about $50 in fuel. Once we got the Ranger back to the house, I turned it on to see if it would even start, and it started right up. I was so excited. However, it was pouring coolant out the bottom, and, you know, my heart sank. I knew that either there was a crack in the block or something really bad had happened, because the car was listed as mechanical damage and it was donated. So immediately I figured, oh great, you know, the block is bad. So then I decided to put some more coolant in it and see what it did, and, you know, big surprise, it poured it all out. So that was some more coolant for $7. Before that, I actually got a battery just to make sure that, maybe it was the battery that was having issues. But so I got a battery. It was $150. So once I figured out what the problem was, or not necessarily what the problem was, but once I started working on the Ranger and I got down to it and realized what the problem was, then I bought a gasket set, which was the problem. One of the gaskets was cracked. So the gasket set was $50. And then, like I always do, I decided to do maintenance items on it. So spark plugs was $40 because there's 6 of them. Radiator hoses and stuff like that came to $40. Thermostat and thermostat housing came to $30. Oil and filter came to $35. Oh, wait. Actually, it was a little more than that. I had to go get some more oil because I was super dumb, and I put the oil filter back on with the old filter O-ring still on there. So when I started up the truck, it just oil all over the driveway. So that, I'll just add like maybe $10 onto that. Then I got some more coolant. That was another $7. And then the ignition control module went out on me. One day I was driving and it just stopped. The engine turned off. I was in the middle of an intersection actually, so I had to push it all the way to my apartment. Nobody helped me until I got to my apartment parking lot, but that's besides the point. So I went to the junkyard, found an ignition control module in a Ranger that was there, and they charged me $12 for it, which is way better than buying it because it would have been $200. And then I actually drove the Ranger around for a little while because it was fun. It was a fun little truck. So I had it registered and I had it registered and I had it insured. So registration, licensing, insurance, everything came to $97. So that brings us to the total of the amount spent on the Ranger, which comes to $1,968. And again, for a truck like that, just shy of $2,000 is not bad. Like that. Okay, we'll get to it. So I listed the truck because I had found the Civic and I needed to get rid of the truck fast because I couldn't hold all of these cars. I didn't have any room for them. So I listed the Civic for $3,800. Now, you may be thinking that's a lot, but this is a 4-wheel drive, 5-speed manual transmission truck with 120,000 miles on it. These Rangers are like very sought after, especially in Utah when we have, snow and rain and, I don't know, fires. But, so I listed it for $3,800 and I almost sold it for $4,200 because the kid was going to buy it with the subwoofer that I have in there, but he wimped out, I guess. So I actually did end up selling the Ranger for $3,800, which blew me away. I had no idea that I would be able to sell it for that much. So now that brings us to the grand total. So the profit for the Ranger comes to $1,832 in my pocket after I sold it. That's a lot. That's a lot of money for, just fixing these little cheap cars. And so the biggest difference between these two that I want to point out to you guys, you may be thinking that, the Civic, I didn't get very much money from that. But I spent 2.5 months working on the Civic, made $661. I spent 4.5 months working on the Ranger. I made $1,800. So as you can see, the profit is almost the same because the Civic is half the time. But the Ranger was a little bit more desirable, which is, is fair. So that brings me to my final point. If you guys are knowledgeable with vehicles and you want to do this, please do. So, for instance, in Utah, you can only sell 2 vehicles a year, which sucks. You can only sell 2 vehicles a year for profit before you get in trouble, jail time, stuff like that. And I don't want to do that. So, I'm actually done for this year in selling vehicles because I sold both the Ranger and the Civic. But check in your state, county, whatever, and see how many you can sell a year, because some of them are up to 5, 6 a year, and some of them even have no limit. So if you want to do this, do it, because this is a great way to save cars from auction that still work, still have potential, and you turn around, fix them, flip them, make a good amount of money off of them. So yeah, I guess that brings us to the end of this video. Thanks for watching all the videos on the Civic. I really wish I could have recorded the Ranger because I had a good time with that too. But, so yeah, if you guys want to do this, go right ahead. It works great for everyone. Everybody wins. Yeah. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you like this video and all the other ones. If you want to check out my other videos, go ahead, leave a like on this video so YouTube knows that I'm not a piece of garbage, even though I kind of am, but my videos are good. And if you didn't like it, then hit the dislike button. Let me know what you didn't like so I can change. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.